Hi, this video is just about some very basic vocabulary. Again, trying to make sure we all have some shared vocabulary and shared language so we can understand one another. So this first one is add. You might also hear adding, like adding two numbers, or addition, which is the act of adding. And we may also say plus, and you'll see the plus sign is there in the middle of the screen. And then sum, S-U-M, is the answer to an addition problem. And so the definition for adding is just join with another number. You might also call it combine. You see a spot on your notes that you could write down. It might be suma in Spanish, or another word for add in your language. And then some examples, including an example that is in a sentence form. The sum of 5 and 2 is 7. And then a couple non-examples. Those things are not addition. And the next slide is about subtraction or subtract. So we also may see this symbol and say minus, right? So minus is also used for subtract. If we are doing it at the moment, then we would say subtracting. And then subtraction is that act of subtracting. Difference is the answer to a subtraction problem. So taking away a number or amount, or we may finding the difference is also another way to tell you to subtract. You have a couple examples. In some of those, we're using positive and negative numbers. With difference, the order does matter. So the difference between 12 and 3 is different than saying find the difference between 3 and 12. So it would be different to have $3 and spend 12. We would be overdrawn. We would owe someone. We would have a debt, as opposed to 12 subtract 3 being 9. And then again, you see some non-examples and a spot to write in your own language if you desire. Multiply. Early in school, you will see multiply as the X, as a symbol, the operator symbol in between numbers. But we will soon be using X as a variable, so we won't use X for multiplying so much. Multiply, we may also say times. And then, of course, different forms of that word, multiplying and multiplication. The answer to multiplying is the product. And multiplication is the repeated addition of the same number a given number of times. So when I say 4 times 5, that would be like if I wrote the number 4 down 5 times and added all those 4s together. Or wrote the number 5 down 4 times and added all those 5s together. Some examples, you'll see that for multiplication, you might see it with the X, or as we're going to get into algebra, you might see something like this, and that means 4 times some unknown number. We don't see like a dot there for multiply, but that's what it means. Or maybe for B would mean 4 times whatever B is. So sometimes for multiplication, we don't see an operator if a coefficient, that's a new word that we'll be getting, is next to it. We might also see the parentheses. If a number is right next to the parentheses, that's going to mean multiply. And the dot also. And sometimes you may also see, I think this was mentioned on a previous page, the little asterisk could mean multiply, like you get with Shift and 8 on the keyboard. Again, product means multiply. When we're talking about multiply, we could change the order and the answer is still the same. Divide, or you may see divided by, dividing, division. Quotient is the answer to division. And so division is when we're taking a set amount and splitting it into a number of equal groups. Examples, we could see it written 20 divided by 5 equal 4. We could see it written in a fraction. We could see the slash. All of those are ways to show division. And then quotient is how we would, and again, the order is important with division, like it was for subtraction. And then positive numbers, like we've already talked about, those are our numbers that are greater than 0. They appear to the right of 0 on the number line. You can have positive numbers that are decimals. You might see a plus sign with them, but you do not have to write the plus to know it's positive. Things that are positive number include earnings or temperatures that are, temperatures warmer than 0, something that's above sea level. Non-examples, anything that's negative, and 0 is also not a positive number. Negative numbers, they are less than 0, and so they appear to the left of 0 on the number line. So you see -5, -0.25. You could have a negative fraction. Those would be negative numbers if it was a fraction or decimal, but not integers. Debts, losses, temperatures colder than 0, below sea level, those are examples of things that are negative, represented by negative numbers. Integers are all our counting numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. They're opposites and 0. So we could have a negative in front of a number, no negative, we could have 0, but fractions and decimals are not integers. Absolute value, this is the distance from 0, and it's always positive. It's just how far away is it. And these two bars on the sides of the number show us that we're talking about the absolute value of the number. So it's just how many spaces from 0 is it. So it's just the number part. These are some vocabulary words that are going to come up later, so we'll save those for another time. Thanks for listening.